Hi folks, I'm Suraj Musad. So in the last episode, we were trying to explain about insulin resistance. So in this episode, we are trying to understand the causes, effect of insulin resistance and how to reverse it. Causes of insulin resistance are, number one is eating too much of sugar and the sugary products. So you might be knowing by now is the base of every problem is too much sugar and the carbs. Second point is eating too much of wrong kind of carbs like white bread, white rice, bakery items and the things made of all-purpose flour. And the third thing is stress. Again, as I told you before, every lifestyle disease, the main issue is being into stress. But stress is essential. Stress demands instant energy and that leads to release of cortisol, as you know. Cortisol increases blood glucose and that triggers high insulin production. So what happens? High insulin during the time of parasympathetic or during the time of stress. And in some people, using antidepressants like Prozac and all, triggers insulin resistance. And use of cortisol tablet like prednisolone for arthritis and the asthma. This particular thing is called steroid-induced diabetes or fast insulin resistance, and it leads to type 2 diabetes, those who take the artificial, like prednisolone, like cortisols. So, holding emotion like anger, grudge and all. So, what is the use of holding the, you can get sick that all. It's better to sort it out rather than keeping it. So, try to let go the, whatever the pent up emotions like anger or the grudge towards anyone. And the seventh one is waist hip ratio. For the woman, more than 0.8 and for the men it's 1. What is the waist hip ratio? When you measure the waist and the hip, when you divide the waist by the hip, for the woman it should be around 0.8 and for the men it must be around 1. Beyond that means excess that is will lead to insulin resistance. Then let's see the effect of insulin resistance on the body. It has a cascading effect on all your hormones. With the presence of insulin, no other hormones will be efficient. Then as you know that obviously when insulin resistance is there, abnormal blood sugar. The third point is high insulin makes you tired and bloated because excess sugar cravings. What happens when you have insulin resistance? The temptation to eat more sugar will be there. Whenever you take the sugar, you feel again tired and bloated feeling will be there. That's why when you drink the tea with sugar and milk, you feel good in the beginning, but you feel bloated later. The fourth point is the more insulin is triggered, the harder to lose weight. This is a very valid point. You try to reduce the weight when you have insulin resistance, the weight will never go off. You try different techniques, but the weight will remain same. The fifth point is body can't utilize fat as energy with the presence of insulin. So you have to be, that point must be noticed. And when it, this point is actually valid during the time of intermittent fast. Then let's see how to reverse it. First point for reversing the insulin resistance is lose weight by losing fat. But it's tough to lose fat with the insulin resistance, as I told you. We will address this on the next episode. Then you can do the weight reduction. Suppose we have the insulin resistance also. Second point is low carb diet with sufficient protein and fat. As I always says, low carb with diet should have sufficient protein and the good fat must be there. Then the third point is intermittent fast. What happened during intermittent fast? We abstain from food, especially from carbs, for nearly 16 hours. So that ensures very low insulin for a prolonged period of time and the body starts utilizing fat as fuel and all other hormones could function efficiently. As I told you before, in the presence of insulin, no other hormones will be released and function efficiently. Then the fourth point is eat slowly. When you eat, don't gorge it, because brain should understand that you are taking the food, so it takes bit time. So eat slowly, don't gorge it, don't gulp the food. Don't eat between the meals, means when you snack it like biscuits or anything, that's not a good idea when you have insulin resistance. So suppose you feel hunger, you can go for some salads or the hummus or anything, the olives or the nuts, which is good for the system. Release unwanted emotions, like as I told you. Then the seventh point is obviously move your body or the regular exercises. But couple of exercises are very much beneficial for the insulin resistance is high intensity interval training and weight training, resistance training with slightly heavier weight, because during the time of when you do this activity, the effect will remain on the body for 48 hours, and the muscle sensitivity could be increased by doing the resistance training and the high intensity interval training. And the eighth point is good sleep. What happens when you don't sleep properly? Lack of sleep triggers appetite stimulating hormone ghrelin. This leads to unusual hunger and overeating. So ensuring proper sleep is a must to control the curb the insulin resistance. So these are all the things you must do to control the insulin resistance.